bring out the best of it. Case in point, the shootings in New Zealand at the two mosques. In fact, my guest tonight wrote a piece about it for FoxNews.com. Adam Barsouk from Young Voices up late with me, live on the Final Five from Pittsburgh. And I mentioned Pittsburgh because when this happened last week, this really played a familiar tune in your head.
Yes, Jim. I think the tragedies themselves certainly resembled each other. You know, you have religious minorities targeted in their place of worship, on their day of worship, by a lunatic gunman. And I think what my piece really focused on was also the aftermath of the two tragic events. Right, on one hand, our community here in Pittsburgh, it really, if anything good came out of the tragedy, it was the unifying effect. The Muslim community set aside decades, of differences of conflict and raised hundreds of thousands for us and the victims and survivors.
Yeah.
And recently in New Zealand, we've had the chance to reciprocate, and we've raised hundreds of thousands for the victims and survivors there.
And we should point out, you're talking about the Tree of Life synagogue shooting, which happened in October, something we talked about on this show, something that unfolded. I'm from about 15 minutes away from where that happened, but that's the synagogue you worship at. Yeah,
so I attended there some years ago, but it's right in the heart of my neighborhood. I pass it every day, so it was really chilling to see police cars and camera crews right on the television, like on the streets where I grew up. Yeah.
Give me a sense of, we saw this unfold, but and we talked about the worst in humanity, bringing out the best of it, but the reality is, too, you have people who see things like this play out. And we saw it after Pittsburgh. We saw it after New Zealand. There are people that try to, A, politicize this, and B, bend the narrative to fit their own worldview.
Exactly. And it's so unfortunate, right? Within minutes of what occurred in Pittsburgh and New Zealand, you see headlines and in social media, people trying to exploit the tragedy for their own political gain, for cheap points, for their agenda, right? For instance, the people who, it's so disingenuous and hypocritical of those people who've always said that you can't blame all of Islam, rightly so, for a few extremists, to then turn around and try and blame President Trump or half of the United States for the actions of this madman.
Yeah,
and that really undercuts what we're trying to do, what we need to do as a country to heal. We need to unify, not divide.
I think that's an excellent point, because I know from seeing everything over the weekend with New Zealand, we were on the news desk. This was happening as we were on the news desk, and very quickly I shared a post about it, and somebody was very quick to say, well, and I don't even want to dignify what the person said, but it was clearly an anti-Muslim message, and there are bad, I think we have to admit, there are bad people in society. That is, you like to say there's good in everybody. You hope there's good in everybody. It's clearly not the case. So, Adam, as we step away, we're a couple months past Pittsburgh. We're a week past New Zealand. What's the lesson we should learn as people? And I know you summed it up very well on FoxNews.com.
I think we need to learn from the experiences of the Muslim and Jewish community here in Pittsburgh, that unifying effect, and choose to focus on our shared values like freedom of religion, freedom of expression, whatever the religion or expression may be, and really condemn hate, persecution, and this sort of idea of blaming a group for the action of individuals. Condemn that idea in all of its forms, so that sort of persecution, that my grandparents faced, that my parents escaped, that so many millions around the world suffer from today, so it never finds a home here in the United States.
And I think what I see play out is every time there's some bad event, the first focus is to see, okay, what political party do they believe in? Who have they tweeted about? Because to be honest, we had the shooting in Alexandria of Steve Scalise a year or two ago that involved somebody who was active with the Bernie Sanders campaign. That doesn't mean Bernie Sanders had anything to do with the shooting. It just means that people had bad intent. But the takeaway here is that we need to be better people, and we could learn lessons. So, Adam Barsouk, it was very nice talking to you tonight. Thank you for your insight, and I'm going to tweet a link out to your piece on FoxNews.com.
Thank you, Jim. And I hope the next time, have something happier to talk about.
I think that's always a good thing. But I think when you have good news, good comes out of tragedy, it's always a bonus. Back after this in the final.